if you give television sets to people, what is wrong with it when you gift things to people? Is this the first time I'm gifting things to people? I have been, those of you who know me, know that every Christmas, every occasion, every instant, I have put down 2.5 million to give free loans to people. So if today you are giving, people are coming to vote and you are giving them something, you are not, it's not buying food. I speak. If you have listened to me carefully, I say, look, if somebody gives you gifts, you can take it. But allowing that gift to influence your vote is what is wrong. It's not a gift. It's allowing that gift to influence your vote. Then it's wrong. By giving gifts, all this week, you think that you can bring people together and you give them water. It is not the item. It is the intention. Do you understand? And I don't think that I have gone around, I've spoken to them, I've met people, and that's why I'm still saying that I'm hope and trust that they will see reason with me and come along with me.
Your Excellency, the timing, is it not constant to you? The timing for giving the gift that you just mentioned, if indeed gifts actually happen, is the timing not something that you should worry about?
Timing of what?
The timing at which these gifts were given.
As you are talking now, if I give you gifts, won't you take it?
Your Excellency.
Do we have time that we give gifts?
Your Excellency.
Long and short of the report was this, that inappropriate conduct was exhibited by virtually almost all the candidates. Even though you cannot establish, because the candidates were clear that what they did was in light of motivating of delegates. We believe that that was inappropriate. Ideally, we should have an annulment of the primaries. However, the committee also acknowledged that there are real obstacles that make it difficult for us to do that. One, the party's constitution does not have a provision for an annulment of election. Two, we are time-bound because we need to be presenting a candidate by tomorrow to the Electoral Commission. So given these difficulties, and also there are legal challenges that could be mounted by whoever won, we have no option but to present Baba Jamal, who actually won according to the Electoral Commission declaration.
So I'll start with you, Honorable Yunus Hussaini. Motorcycles, television sets, cash, TNT, all of this, delegates pray to get them, and they get them. This time, it was flowing like like rain in Ayawaso East, and we're seeing them on television sets. Look, I've seen these things over and again in all the parties, but it must stop at a point. Why is it that your committee, you didn't give us a sense of the reset agenda that this government is embarking on? The president issued a statement to recall Baba Jamal, but the recall was, I think that was belated. Once he put himself in, he should have been recalled. You wait until he wins and there is controversy, then you recall him. Then the statement is issued that sanctions will be taken. The majority in parliament also issue a statement and say, annul the elections. And everybody gets excited that we are getting a sense of what the reset really means. Not knowing that was just premature, jubilation.
It was not premature. And let me once again say that what happened in Ayawaso was a difficult situation. Everybody and the party took a position on that. And that was why they set up the committee. The president also condemned, if you want, what happened in Ayawaso. In the letter that withdrew or recalled Baba Jamal from Nigeria. The parliament also deprecated what was happening in Ayawaso West Wegon constituency. Ayawaso East constituency. And so it is important to put it in a better light, in a light that shows clearly that the party as an institution, parliament as a body, the presidency as head of government took a stance against what happened over there. This is the first time ever. This is the first time ever that a political party has publicly taken a stance, or the presidency has publicly taken a stance.
The Bible says that the end of a thing is better than the beginning.
Yes.
We're not interested in the beginning.
So let me state categorically, as a lawyer, let me state categorically, and you know, that the self-authorizing act of a political party, in this case to annul an election, can have political force. But you must also, as persons or as a body, establish that force, political force, on a legal, rational basis. It also must have a legal, rational basis. And if it doesn't have, you compound the problems. You might be attempting to solve a problem, but you invite many other problems. So we have found as a fact that 4 of the 5 candidates in Ayawaso distributed some goodies. I mean, they were material and monetary inducement. And Baba Jamal, it is not the intention. The fact that you gave is that element of inducement. Yeah. That is it. The fact of giving consequent upon an election primaries is that element of inducement.
He actually tries to rationalize the timing when the gifts are given.
Well, so as a committee, we were not moved by that rationalization. He rationalized it before us, but we're not moved because you came back from Nigeria to contest. And in the contest, you gave out things. I mean, when you were in Nigeria, you didn't send TVs to Ayawaso East. I mean, so we were not moved, okay?
One of his, I think the lead for his campaign team said that Baba knew nothing about it, but there were people who loved him who came together and brought that surprise because on the day of the election, they got panicky because other people were also
So, like I said, so again, the committee found as a matter of fact that the only reason Baba's name is prominent is because of his status, the recall by the president, the fact that he's a public officer. He also won the elections. So he had some kind of sympathy from other people because he won. Because almost all the other candidates did exactly the same. Okay, so some distributed motorbikes, some distributed TVs. I mean, ice chests, laptops, clocks, whatever, rice. So we found all that. But you see, that's why I asked for Oliver when I came here. I've been reading Amita San's The Idea of Justice. And I said, look, so will justice be served? But this was not in the report. If 3 people have done the same thing, one of them has won, and you are punishing the one who has won, will justice be served in that matter? That was just an idea that came to my mind. But why
couldn't you punish all?
How do you punish all? We're going to do an annulment. Annulment will only mean that the winner is no longer the winner.
And the people will lose their membership, perhaps. That's also punishment.
Yes, so, but that is a matter that the party will take up. Okay? So what do we do in the circumstances? So we looked at all that the pervasive occurrence of vote buying, inducement, monetary inducement, and sharing of material items. We thought that compromised the integrity of the process, the elections. We thought that there was a likelihood that the elections did not throw up the person who ought to have won, fairly and freely. And so we recommended that the party could annul the results. But we drew attention to the legal hurdles that they have
Which are that?
Which are number 1. Jurisprudentially, can a political party annul elections, internal elections, supervised by the Electoral Commission and certified to be credible, arising out of a free and fair election? Can a political party do that?
Fraud vitiates everything.
But the fraud was a fraud outside the Electoral Commission. So you are looking at the institution here. Okay, so fraud vitiates everything in court. So if you have reasons to believe that the elections was tainted by fraud, the only way that you can overturn, in our view, the only basis upon which you can overturn the results is to go to court. Because there's a prima facie, I mean, the evidence decree, section 23, is a prima facie, or even a presumption, rebuttable as it is, that things were done rightly. 2, governance issue. You see, you have a state institution established for the purposes of supervising for the purposes of conducting public elections. An assistant, because there's an injunction in the Constitution that says that political parties must run their processes in accordance with democratic principles. And that includes respecting state institutions, the decisions of state institutions. Now, so you will find that if the party says, I want to annul, and goes ahead to annul, what does it do to the credibility, integrity of the Electoral Commission? What does it do to that? There's a governance issue. So it's a broader governance issue that we can talk about. So we said, yes, so you have to overcome that. To be honest with you, I don't think that you can deal with impunity by acting with impunity. So those who did that acted with impunity. There must be a sound legal foundation for announcing the results. And so that was what we came to. The second thing we came to was that we looked at the whole constitution of the NDC. The nearest to the invocation of a power of the party to annul or deal with a situation like what occurred in the Ayawaso East constituency was a referral of the matter to the National Executive Committee. Because the Constitution provides that where a matter is not provided in the Constitution, the National Executive Committee can provide for the matter and the way it should be dealt with. That was the nearest, because we didn't find any entry in the Constitution, any provision in the Constitution that gave the, and I understand perfectly. I understand from governance perspective that probably it is because of the very nature of elections and the consequences of an annulment. Then 3, we said, well, there are practical issues too that you must consider. You must consider whether or not the party wants to contest the Ayawaso East constituency elections. Because the next day, we presented a report at 4 o'clock. The next day was the day of filing. So you must take that practical, rational consideration whether or not the party wants to contest.
I don't know about your constitution, but the NPP constitution, it allows them to appoint who could be a parliamentary candidate. And as you said, your NEC has the ultimate power. It could decide that we are handpicking somebody and sending that name to Electoral Commission the next day. That could happen.
So it could happen. But it means that, our committee was a committee of FEC. It was not a committee of NEC. So the report was presented to FEC, the Functional Executive Committee of the party. So it was left to the party to decide that they were going to escalate this matter to the National Executive Committee to take a decision.
I'm only pointing out that a suggestion that because you were a day to filing, this was the only way to maintain Baba Jama.
I agree entirely with you.
Because we looked at the process. Out of that.
We looked at the process. We said, well, so we were established by the Functional Executive Committee. We presented our report to the Functional Executive Committee. We sort of indirectly told them that you don't have, according to the constitution of the party, you don't have the power to take a decision on this matter. You have to escalate this report to the National Executive Committee. Right. So we brought all this to the attention of them and left the report with them.
Okay.
And they took a decision of what they wanted to do.
Okay.
Yes.
And Fifi Kwete came out to explain to us. I'll go to Mike, I'll go to Oliver, and then end with Vera. The CDD is also doing some work. They have been doing some work for a very long time. Let's see how that work is shaping up to cure this, monetization of our elections. Yes. Is this surprising to you? Somebody who has contested elections yourself. Some of your colleagues have been open, and they've told us how much it cost them. Akosi Amenu recently just told us that it cost her about 8 million, to contest the Adenta. Yes, it cost her about 8 million. She had to do various projects before the elections itself. And we know our friends who do all of these things before elections. one prominent situation, Eugene Ahin, before he got in, I know friends like Jefferson Saki, Dems, when they showed interest, they must first go to the constituency and begin to do things. They must build monuments. They must do all sorts of Father Christmas work, you know, and it happens across board, okay? So, what is this?
Something, nothing surprises me really, except to say that the committee that was formed by the party was toothless from beginning. Even before they started their work, I knew it was toothless. I made a post on Facebook just when they formed the committee, and I predicted, if I was a prophet, I'm sure my prophecy would have come true. I predicted that the outcome was going to be to exonerate or to allow Baba Jamal to contest. And exactly so, that is what the committee did.
But they didn't exonerate anybody.
Yeah. I said, or to allow him to contest.
Okay.
So they allowed him to contest. Something. I feel the committee was a small screen to push the deaths that had happened under the carpet. Because what happened was shameful. Even though within the political parties we hear of these things, but for the first time on camera, you are watching social media, television, and people are carrying televisions in their armpits, boxes of Kivo Gari, boxes of sanitary pad, people are pushing motorbikes, piles of cash and so on. It's scary. It scared me. And I'm sure every politician watching at the time will be scared, because what it does is it means future elections are going to be affected. The delegates are now going to call that, hey, Ayawaso, people enjoy it, so let us also feel it. And it's scary. And the reason why I also say I'm not surprised is because what happened also scared them. And that is why they hurriedly came out. Because in Ghana, there's never been a point in time that you see clear evidence that people are openly, blatantly showing that largesse.
You said there's never been a time.
Yeah, motorbike, one person, motorbike, Kivo Gari, sanitary pad, television.
You have not been in Ghana
cash,
for a long time.
Something, if you can help me, gallons of oil, 5 bags of rice, one person, eggs, Kosianu Moko. Oh my God.
I've seen a lot.
One person.
I've seen a lot.
But not one person.
I've seen delegates. I've seen MPP delegates, and it cuts across.
Yeah.
I've seen them go to meet a candidate.
Yes.
Right here in Ablekuma.
Okay.
They go to meet the candidate, and when they leave, not a candidate. That's a candidate for in the primaries.
Yes.
And when they are leaving, I've seen them carry flat screens.
Yeah.
I've seen them carry microwaves. I've seen them carry.
It's not envelopes. Don't waste your time.
Envelopes.
You know, and they actually
envelopes
talk about it.
Common.
They talk about it proudly.
But one person.
Yeah. One person.
No,
I just don't want to name the person, but I saw them.
One person with motorbike. And all these things I've mentioned, if you quantify it, about 50,000 cedis per person. And what is scary is that the government is 1 year in power. What does it tell of the government? That 1 year in power, some of your people can afford all these things. So I was expecting that the party would take very harsh sanctions against them based on how they came out. The way they came out, everybody felt like, oh, for the first time something was going to happen. But then business as usual, they go back and they go to worry my uncle here, put him on a committee, so that he puts a report together, which report they know they will not do anything. Right from day one, the party knew their candidates. The party wanted Baba Jamal because the party knew that Hajia is mourning, and per Islamic rights, she has 40 days to mourn. And that 40 days, she cannot come out and do campaigning. And that is why they even set a trap for her. When she requested that she wanted to do vetting via Zoom, they refused it because they knew if they refuse, she will not even attempt to come, and then she will be out of the game for Baba Jamal to come in. And quite interestingly, the majority caucus and the government also wanted Hajia to come in. So some few days to election, the majority caucus led by the deputy Honorable Doyo goes to donate some amount of cash to Hajia.
100,000.
100,000. Why didn't they do it just after the burial of the husband? That would have been like a funeral donation. But you go to support one candidate, and even in their remarks, make a comment that we will see you in the chamber. You throw support behind one candidate, they turn around and sign signatures that they should nullify the election when your candidate doesn't win. So there was there was this thing between the party and the government, and the party won at the end of the day through the use of my uncle's committee.
Tell me what would have happened
under the carpet.
What would have happened if this was discovered in an MPP primary like this?
It will never be discovered.
Well, that is if it was discovered. That is if it was discovered. But if it was discovered and blatantly people did this, for us as a party, the party can appoint people. So once the party has set a commission of inquiry and the commission had come out with a report that yes, the people have been found guilty, the party would have cancelled it and appointed somebody to go.
He's saying that the people you take an adverse action against, because, especially the winner, who won because the Electoral Commission supervised the process, can go to court. Can you imagine what that would mean? You appoint somebody, and then the one who was elected goes to court, perhaps puts an injunction on your candidate, and you may lose because you have only one day to put the candidate up.
The winner stood on behalf on the ticket of the party.
Right.
The party has powers to appoint someone. I've seen NDC's general secretary go around in the 2024 elections to appoint candidates in particular constituencies where they couldn't have orphan constituencies where they couldn't have elections. Even in some constituencies, they could have had elections, but there were issues. Eventually, they appointed somebody to go. Here is the case. Your winner blatantly and shamefully on live TV admits that, yes, I gave them the television because they are going to vote, and I don't see anything wrong. Which, of course, the OSP can even take it up, because he's also a government appointee, an ambassador. At the moment he was doing this, he was still an appointee. He had not resigned from office. And quite interestingly, some of the contestants are appointees. I know Haja is on the board for this mining company, Pristia Sankofa. She's also on a board. So these are government appointees throwing cash in an election, openly, blatantly doing it with no regard to even the sensibilities of the people. And the party could even take action to redeem its image in this so-called resetting agenda they are doing.
In 2023, you would have been around. You were doing your campaigns and all of that. Did you hear about one Alfred Obeng Boateng?
Yes.
He's a former MP.
Yes.
For the on the MPP's ticket for Bebiani Ayawaso East, right?
Yes.
You remember the issue that came up with him?
Yes.
Okay. So he had promised that
if his opponent pays a certain amount,
his seat was under threat.
Threats, yes.
And he went on, radio publicly to say that he said that opponents were paying up to about 10,000.
Yeah.
He would double that and pay up to 20,000.
Yeah.
He said he had kept sufficient dollars for that purpose.
Yes.
When it came up, the MPP didn't do anything. Some of us did something stake and we criticized him. When we criticized him, do you know what he did? He came back to say, and the graphic reported this, claimed that he didn't say what we said he said, which was actually on tape. He said it.
Even if he said it.
Even though he didn't say that, he will even do more than that.
Yes.
What did the MPP do to him?
Something, even if he said it, in politics, when you're on the grounds campaigning, sometimes people want to hear you say things. So maybe you see your opponents are stronger than you. Sometimes you can make claims that if my opponent pays 1,000, I'll pay 2,000. It doesn't mean that it. I didn't pay anything.
Don't say that.
I didn't pay anything.
Don't say that. We were prepared before you.
I didn't pay anything. So these comments
unless your
come
constituency was non-contact.
These comments come up. Sometimes people put these threats out just to.
He knows that paying something is wrong.
Just to assure them to stay with you, because maybe you've put in the work, then your opponent comes in showing some things on the ground. You also go out and That's why I'm sure he went on air.
Okay.
He went on air to do that,
All right,
to rape his base.
Yeah, you've been speaking for
so it's not like,
some 10
it's
minutes
not like
now.
he has even done the act.
Let me go to Oliver. So as far as you are concerned, they should have,
they should have
removed Baba Jamal,
appointed, nullified the whole thing, and appointed a new person.
Yes, Oliver, what do you make of this? And I want you to look at it also from the point of view of what you are seeking to get for the country, that all delegates must be deemed qualified. Delegates, as in party members of a party who are in good standing must all qualify to vote. In this situation, you had 946 valid votes that were cast. Less than 1,000. It looks like it's easy to infiltrate and get them.
Something, first of all, let me acknowledge what Dr. Nyawunya Tamaklu and Dr. Christine Nuama for leading the conversation on this. But there are also several prominent people in this country who have been concerned about the monetization of our democracy and where things are going, that helped and brought me on board to help put this thing together to go to the Supreme Court. Now, the truth is that the question of this monetization weighed heavily in how we thought about the case. In terms of how we framed it, we did not go into any questions about this monetary incentives of voter inducement through money in terms of the matter before the Supreme Court. We took a different approach. And it's an evidentiary thing, in terms of the law, the standard of now trying to demonstrate that the process of voter inducement in the delegate system is so entrenched and widespread across the country that it doesn't produce a democratic outcome was too much of a burden to bear. We've looked at the way in which the state has treated this and how the court might treat this and decided that, okay, we're going to frame the question differently. And in our case, we know that Article 55 of the Constitution says the party must be organized around democratic principles. Now, to be fair, I've looked across the entire world. There are only 6 countries that say they are not democracies. That's Saudi Arabia, Oman, Brunei, Qatar, the Vatican City. If it's a country that say they are not democracy, doesn't self-identify as democracy, meaning that all the countries in the world, apart from these, say that they are democracies. And this even includes some of our neighbors that have military government, because we are saying that they are establishing genuine democracy, that the coup is not anti-democratic, but it's democracy being perfected. China, which says that it is a people's democracy. So there's no real model of what a democracy is. So we are saying that when the Constitution uses the language democratic principles, it must have something in mind. If not, we have no guidance. And then what it must have in mind is that it must be the kind of democracy that is reflective of the kind of democracy that Ghana has chosen for itself, which is a democracy that our preamble says, which is based on universal adult suffrage. So that's the theory we are developing and putting before the Supreme Court. That is there any guidance in the Constitution as to what kind of democracy we intend for ourselves? So it is that principle that we are saying that then, when the parties are organizing, they must organize around this idea, which is the feature of Ghanaian democracy, the universal adult suffrage. And that's the case we have put before the court. Now, invariably, of course, it allows us to deal with this delegate problem and the increasing cost that we are seeing around this. I watched Honorable Nisafiseni on another platform where he talked about we haven't normalized the problem. Because if you have normalized it, then it means that we have no moral revulsion to the issue. But what we have done is that we've paid a blind eye to it and let it be the de facto situation that the country lives with. This is a problem that the political class can solve. They hold all the tools to solving it. They are the people that constantly complain about the cost of where this is going. But inherent in that as well, they themselves like the political advantage it gives them. Because being in power means that it's access to funding and financing that other persons who are not in government cannot do.
Right.
Because of that advantage, they don't want to let it go. Now, as far as we are concerned, we are lawyers, right? the Supreme Court cannot compel Parliament to put in place a legislation. The co-equal nature of the branches of government means that that's something the Parliament must arrive to on its own. The executive must say that what is the most effective solution this way. But the parties themselves can resolve a solution. If the parties decided that there's no way in which we can solve the demand end of the problem, which is people, delegates demanding money, but we can deal with the supply end, which is that any candidate that gives a peswa, you will be disqualified. We will then turn the candidates into spies on themselves. They will then volunteer information on who has given what, in order to get the other candidate disqualified. So there's a mechanism that the parties can devise to be able to deal with this problem. But then there's also the question of, okay, if the parties have allowed this because, well, you know, delegates must be given some transportation money and things like that, they raise so much money from filing fees that they can decide that a component of it will subsidize the cost of that the party will take charge of that cost so that anybody who gives any peswa would have no justification. There cannot be gifts around election time. There cannot be all the things that we are claiming or you know, the euphemisms that we are using around this when we all know what the truth is. So, again, Parliament can compel political parties to do this. It can be able to create legislation that empowers the Electoral Commission to disqualify when it's supervising this election. There's a whole range of tools that we can use and be able to deal with this if we wanted to. In the absence of that, we only know, I suppose, with the civil actors who end up to be lawyers as well, know only one tool, to run to the courts and see whether or not the court can provide guidance that saves this republic. And so I think that's kind of the context of this conversation. But the last point on Ayawaso, you know, the committee was a fact-finding committee, and they found facts that established the inducement.
Before Ayawaso, you know that the research over time by CDD in conjunction with ASELA has been in 2021, we understood that you needed $100 million US dollars to be able to organize a credible, call it presidential election campaign. In 2025, that figure has shot up to $200 million US dollars. On the part of the MPs, we also know that they are having to spend quite a fortune to be able to, you know, do these campaigns in excess of 4 million Ghana cedis. So the question has always been, where do they get the money from, and how that also, you know, brings up the question of the fight against corruption.
You know, every self-respecting democracy has figured out that campaign financing is a big problem and loops back to corruption. That you have to be able to reduce donor influence on political actors. You have to be able to deal with how political actors are able to raise financing to be able to do this. And in fact, the idea that even illicit financing is going into elections, whether it's coming from the drug trade or whether it's coming from galamsey,
yes,
that has an effect on the environment. That there are so many indicators of how you finance your politics. That is a measure of total social dysfunction across every level and in terms of delivery of public goods for citizens. So the financing problem is inherently tied into whether or not we want to become a better democracy. If you remember, when the Attorney General was talking about, the current Attorney General was talking about a certain member of parliament that had been tied into the NSS scandal, A+ came out and accused the Attorney General practically of having received financing from an individual who was himself suspicious and was not able to go after the individual. That's a big problem. That's a big issue. Again, on the fact that two members of parliament were talking about the control that donors have on a public official. So there's no playing ostrich around the issue that the cost is increasing because it has become the main mechanism by which you secure electoral competitiveness. It is not about the brilliance of your ideas. It's not about any of that. It's how much you are paying. We are hearing delegates say over and over again that those who do not give are not even in the race. So it's an eligibility thing. It is not surprising that in Ayawaso, the committee found that one individual had not given. What did he get? He got one vote. So it has become so steeped into the competition is a money competition. we have monetized the process.
Right.
And by the of it, you then get, inefficient outcomes in terms of who you are electing and how they govern. Over to you.
Yes. So you were now going to Ayawaso specific. What were your comments about that one?
So in terms of Ayawaso, I think that we have not done enough service to the one individual who the committee found did not induce voters. In the committee's word. Because we haven't even been intentional in projecting what his name is from the party level. 2, we have pretended as if a nullification of candidates found culpable does not mean that that individual could not have been presented as the candidate. There's nothing that is stopping the party.
But his thing, is it a function of his circumstance? Is it a function of the fact that he's poor?
I cannot say that. I don't know. What I do know that I cannot say the person who has not committed crime,
right,
was spared out of it because he could not afford the means to. So I won't even go into that speculation. But what it does send a signal, which individuals like myself had come out and congratulated the NDC because we were seeing all the positive statements that were coming out and said that this is kind of what we want. Ultimately, and again, I don't want to put this on the committee because they are not the ones to make the decision. And they made it categorically clear that their preferred recommendation of what should be done is a nullification of the process. Now, I think that perhaps they went over mandate in speculating as to whether or not the NEC or who or whether the FEC should do that. It is for the NDC as a party to go into that conversation. I think it's commendable that the majority in Parliament put out a statement saying categorically that this is where their position on the issue is. So all those signals were there. Ultimately, the party resolved to go in a different direction. Then again, in terms of the Ayawaso polls itself, you have the party which had decided that, okay, before we're setting up the committee, the mandate of the committee was that we want to be clear that going forward, it can even result in disqualification. And this is why perhaps that came the suggestion that, well, the committee was definitely not going to recommend this because it had been set out clear in its TOR that we don't want you to look at that as an option. But be that as it may, the committee still expressed a view on why that is the most preferred option in terms of this.
Are you disappointed at where we are now that we can't say anything drastic happened?
Yes, I think that I am disappointed, but I do hope that if this is truly reflective of the majority's position on this issue, then we should put legislation before Parliament.
Yes, but if you are disappointed, does it mean that you don't buy the recommendation that there's a difficulty in annulling the elections that have been duly certified by the EC?
So first of all, on this question of the EC certification, there's no law that requires the EC, first of all, to supervise primary election. The law on the Political Parties Act is about the party executives. So when it is doing this and conducting this election, its role in the process has been limited to the counting of the ballot and whether or not there's no seizure of the ballot or anything that goes into the box. It has not concerned itself with questions of inducement of voters in this conversation.
So that it is for some credibility that they bring the EC in. Otherwise, they could do it on their own.
Absolutely. Now, in this case, there is no then legal issues that arise to say that you are overturning what the EC has done. The determination of who is eligible is you who defined it. If you said you imposed even membership of the party and for how long, you decide what kind of conduct are unbecoming of your representatives, not the EC. So you're not limited in any way, whether by law or by practice, in terms of what decision there is. EC has just showed you in terms of the vote conducted.
Does the resolution chip away from the reset agenda?
I think that in many ways it does. I think that, and the committee itself recognizes this. I mean, I think that when I listen to Yunus Hussaini talk about this, he recognizes that the kind of posturing and the messaging that the NDC wanted to give to Ghanaians, this is chipping away from it. I've seen Al-Hassan Surini talk about it is not only government that embarrasses the party. Sometimes the party itself can embarrass government. giving this as an example of that scenario. So I think that everybody would agree that there's a credibility loss and a trust loss.
All right.
And is this that incrementally, cause a party to lose elections?
Okay. Now take a breather. I'll return to you on the next matter and then give you the opportunity of some reaction for last week's, comments adverse that were made against you when Nkrumah was a subject for discussion. So Abna,
yes,
I see that CDD, immediately this happened, CDD was like, we told you so. We needed to fix this long ago. But you have been working on your own, gathering expert opinion, going to retreat with experts to draft, political financing, campaign, financing, legislation and so on and so forth. And I've had the benefit of sitting in some of these meetings, very important discussions, Yusuf Sini himself, So why? You are not finishing, and that's why where we are.
No. For us, personally, I think this is not a missed opportunity.
Okay.
And for once, I stand to be corrected, but for once, somebody has been sanctioned for vote buying. OSP tried, I'm not sure if anybody, any political parliamentarian candidate has been sanctioned, but OSP was not successful in Kumasi when he took the case to High Court.
That's right.
Even OSP, with all the resources and trying to do something about it, was not successful. But the NDC was forceful with their comments.
I think they have appealed that decision of the High Court.
Yeah.
All of you know about it. This was Assembly election, DC election. And the DC, we heard him in the video where he was, like we say in our local parlance, jostling the people to bring back his money.
Yeah.
The court said that video is not enough to show that he had bribed them to vote for him. Right.
So for us, we think that this has generated some conversation. And, well, you can say that the decision by the president to withdraw him is late or was late. I think it was okay. Maybe he would have taken his February salary if he was still there, because
he says his salary is like twice what he's going to get if he gets to Parliament. So this is sacrifice he's doing. It's not because he wants it for anything else.
Whatever it is, Samson, we have seen some political action. Many were hoping that things could have happened. The committee's report, I think, is fair based on the reasons they gave. The only one I disagree, I think Oliver touched on it, is the EC. The election is not an EC election.
Right.
They are there to supervise. Just like any pharmaceutical council, medical council, where they have their election, they invite the EC to supervise. So that is the only point I disagree. But when they talk about the timing and their own constitution, and they've also called for some reform. And for us, it looks like finally we've gotten everybody to agree with us that we need to really look at our campaign financing and political financing.
And the fact that it's a private business, you know that a bigger issue has been that even the OSP who have been trying to prosecute these things, what they get told is that this is not a public election.
Exactly.
The law is about public election, so you cannot stretch the law. And if you read Oliver's brief before the Supreme Court, they use other, court cases, the famous Avalifo, and they say what the parties do is public.
It's public, yeah.
So the party is a public, institution. It's like when you set up a private bank. You have set up a bank, but because you are dealing with the public money, it becomes a public institution. So we can go into it.
Yeah, so these are the gaps in our laws that we really need to fix. That internal parties and even candidates, if you look at the political parties, it looks at only the parties, not the candidates. And we know how donations go to the candidates.
Right.
Candidates themselves mobilize resources. And so if we can, that is what we are calling for. A new law, a new bill. Let's look at our financing. The survey you have seen and you were showing were from nurturing constituency and campaign. We haven't even tackled when they are in power how much money they spend. and how they go back to their constituency. That's another level of expenditure in our political finance. That's why I was worried when Michael seems to... I thought that the parties themselves, when we meet them, they are worried about how much they spend. And so I don't think the NPP should take a position that is a missed opportunity. Let's consider this as a renewed effort to look at how we can reform, because it benefits them. The committee, yourself and Inisa, we have some members from the NPP, Mr. McMenu and the others have been very supportive, and they're able to share their own response. So I really think that the NPP should support this, that if somebody is taking an effort, if the NDC, President Mahama is taking some effort, let's commend it and look at going forward, how do we do it? How can we ensure that the party, internal party election, in fact, something, we regulate everything. Lawyers, bankers, pharmacists, teachers recently, we are regulating them. Why are we not regulating politicians? Where is the source of money coming from? And again, if we cannot even stop them giving out, can we look at how do people get so much money to distribute? It's so easy. In fact, we have so in the cash economy, it's so easy for politicians to get the money to start distributing.
So you are saying that in the Political Parties Act 2000, provisions have been made, but they are inadequate, or that the parties have found a way to go around it, because the requirement of that law is that the disclosures, the accounts and funding sources, the responsibility is on the party.
The parties, not candidates.
Yes, and you have found that the problem is that the way they are beating it is that if a candidate is standing, the money goes to the candidate, not the party.
Not the party.
So now you want a law that will target the candidate. They should disclose their sources of funds, they should file reports, and so on and so forth. So
we have a very comprehensive law.
Okay.
It's so much. It affects the credibility of our elections. Our elections are not free and fair. It means that a lot of people, young people cannot get in. And there's a research to show that if you look at how much people are spending, how can you raise to get in as a candidate to contest for or to serve? And you have to pay. We also acknowledge the selling, so the demand and the supply side as well, and which is equally criminal, that we really need to look at it.
Right.
But if we do not, the incentive, we keep on giving the incentive for politicians to give out. And so we are going out. In fact, from next week or two, we are starting some engagement to the communities, the people themselves, to appreciate that, no, you can't. If a politician candidate gave you money and he comes in, he'll take it back. When Baba says that some friends, I'm wondering, what are the intentions of these friends? What's the motivation?
It is his party, his campaign manager who said it, not himself. He himself. He's
not his campaign manager. So what's the interest of these friends that want
Michael is giving you an indication that because there was a group from the party that seemed to have supported the woman and went and made a donation of 100,000, the opponents could clearly see that the woman is being empowered to pay better and win. So they got panicky.
Today she decides to contest. She will get her schoolmates, friends from churches, a lot of people coming to support you.
That's true. Yeah. I can confirm that I have supported my friends, in his party, in the NDC, with my little widow's mind, because they call on me. So they want to help them to do it decently.
Vera. So that is why, one, we must all agree that inducement does not produce good democratic outcomes. That whoever spends money in an election is not a Father Christmas. you will recoup the money.
Sharp.
3, that the country suffers when money is spent inappropriately. Because when money is used in an election, that money could have been deployed to some other things, because we don't know. 4, we must all agree that it's very dangerous to have an open-ended campaign financing regime in Ghana. Because you can tie, and CDD has done that.
Right.
A nexus between illegal mining and campaign finance.
Please.
I was in Cote d'Ivoire. I observed the election in Cote d'Ivoire. Well, we have our own issues with the Cote d'Ivoire election, but for campaign period, it was only 2 weeks for campaign.
Yeah.
And they complied. Yeah. If you look at, in fact, we observed the elections. Through our Corruption Watch initiative, we observed the 2024, I think, reports. We did the abuse of incumbency as well. It's also part of, when we talk about the finance and abuse of
incumbency. So you must be happy
also,
at the Constitution Review Committee's reports, which brings in campaign off-season and also calls for these things to be checked.
We have been calling for this for so long, and we think that this is a good time for us to keep the conversation going, and we need to build that consensus. And this is where, Michael, we agree, they have their own issues, but this time, we think that we need to move on beyond. I'm sure you said you didn't.
No, I agree with Honorable Inisa Hussein.
Yeah. So where are you with the process? Now, where are you with the process? Where are you with this process that you have been doing over a period, doing workshops, doing papers, and so on and so forth?
So we have
and I must also disclose that the famous government WhatsApp group, which has even MPP members or no, is a famous WhatsApp government group.
Oh, so it exists.
Yeah, it exists. So the National Ethics and Anti-Corruption Action Plan Working Group also flagged this issue, and in their report have recommended strongly that campaign financing, disclosures, and all of these things must be done and done within a very short time.
Right.
My question to you is, where are you with your projects?
So currently, we have a draft bill. It's something we are working with the Attorney General. We have experts. I mentioned yourself, Inisa, from academia, Professor Akosia, Kweku Azai, and the team. Professor HKP is also on. We have a draft with AG. We are working with AG to see how we can have a very robust, a holistic reform. We need to do something about it. We can't continue to have money influencing our politics, our governance, and the end result, corruption, elicits the kind of money, the financial flows coming in. It's worrying that we need to find a way out. Even campus, we are looking at a model that can also even affect our campus elections as well, because currently we realize that in our tertiary institutions, the kind of campaign they are running.
Tertiary.
Yes.
I'm going even too high. Lower than tertiary.
Yes, the things that primary school, some people are sharing pencils.
Yes.
Parents are doing.
Yes.
So, and beyond that, the expert work, we are taking these recommendations also to have some regional engagement. So we are going to the communities, regional meeting, various stakeholders at the regional level. So we are looking at all the regions. In fact, we have Honorable Inisa is joining us for some of the engagement to have a conversation about it. What do the citizens themselves see about this? And I think the frustrations, you realize that people are frustrated about how much money is influencing votes. And it's not because they are not getting it. It's just because it's not fair.
And the delegates feel entitled.
They feel entitled to it. They really feel entitled to it. And we have to also let them know the implications of this item. Over the weekend, I went to Western. I was on my way back listening to Cape Coast Radio, and the call-in were interesting, and I was impressed, and I was excited doing this work over time that almost all the call-ins were like, we have seen this, it's enough. Can we have them do something better for us? And the politicians themselves, I think for us, the good thing is that when we meet them, they're happy about it, they acknowledge.
It costs them too much.
It costs them.
Mike, tell me that you are excited that the suit that Professor Frimpong Boateng and co are taking, which Oliver is leading, just 30 seconds on that, we take a break and return. That you are excited that you are looking for the Supreme Court to confirm it and say all card-bearing members of the parties must participate in primary elections.
Well, I've seen the suit that they've submitted to the Supreme Court, but it has its downturn also, because once the Supreme Court opens it up, who is going to finance the elections? Will the state bear that costs? That's a question.
Why should the state bear it? Do it the way you are doing. The people will vote.
So today, for instance, if you go to my constituency, we have about 1,220 delegates. If you say all card-bearing members, Ofurikum on a good day has 65,000 people voting for MPP. So you will get people registering cards, and you can get close to about 30,000 people registering. if 30,000 people decide to vote, can the party cover that cost? So these are issues we need to also look at. Apart from that, within the political parties, in case NDC wants to choose a candidate, and you say all card-bearing members, you are likely to get people from MPP going to register, or candidates who want to win, sponsoring or pushing people to register for NDC cards. And then when it gets to elections, they vote for him. You know, I think NDC started something like that.
Which is the lesser evil?
NDC started something like that.
Yeah, they expanded.
They expanded.
Yeah.
And then they realized that some of the candidates who were winning had influenced MPP people to register into their party.
Their major reason was the cost.
To vote. That was one factor. And the cost.
Okay.
So all these are issues that we have to look at, not
right.
just on the lateral
we take a break here.
Surface or
we will be right back. You're welcome back. This is Newsfile, it's the most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. And I had mentioned to you that HEFCs, they are making your Valentine, you know, they are wrapping it nicely for you. So even this moment, if you are not too sure where to get a hamper, how to surprise your loved one, HEFCs are there for you. That's what they are doing for you. HEFCs gifts. Contact them 0555 0555 94 0022 0555 94 0022. HEFCs. They have available red roses, fresh flowers, luxury hampers, chocolate, cupcakes, candle bouquets, spa sets, and so much more. Locate HEFCs behind American House, East Legon, Accra. Follow them on Instagram on HEFCs. It's HEPHZIS, and you can call them on WhatsApp as well and make your order. Call them now, and they will make a surprise for your loved one, and you'll be shocked how they do it. I'm saying it, I can testify to it. Thank you very much. Now, back to the studio. Yes, Abena. Yes.
Invitation. The Political Parties Act actually makes a provision. Section 17 says that the election of the national, regional, constituency executive officers of every political party shall be conducted under the supervision. The executives. Under the supervision.
Not the parliamentary primaries, the presidential primaries.
But all that is done under supervision.
Right.
Right. Okay, but that is a debate we can have another day.
And I also need to make this correction that Randiabe tells me that the 2 billion, bonds, that cocoa bonds, they have paid. Those who were each sending messages and commenting that they haven't, he said they have paid. But there are those in the banking industry who are challenging that if it's in fact
I even
paid.
wanted to make that correction that I was paid, because when the message came that the bonds were not paid, I knew it wasn't true.
So you can confirm that?
Yes, it was paid.
Thank you.
Samson, the conversation, the good thing, like Abuna has said, is that the NDC considers this issue as a very serious issue.
Right.
In fact, it's so serious that even while the elections were going on, they established a committee. So serious that while the elections were going on, Parliament issued a statement. And the president acted. So it's a serious matter. And then the party is looking at how to self-regulate. Because we cannot go on that trajectory. Right. So when we presented a report, the party was very excited and said, look, your committee, we have to expand it. We're going to expand your committee. For you to look at how to instill some level of discipline in our internal elections. And we are giving you, it's going to be time-bound. You must present a report to us before the next election cycle, so that that report can guide our activities. Because we saw some yawning gaps.
Right.
One, Samson, if a candidate, and Oliver said it, if a candidate is vetted, approved to contest primaries, what happens? Is he now on his own? Can he behave anyhow? There are no guidelines to regulate his conduct.
Okay.
How much money can a candidate
So this
spend?
matter has not ended.
It does not end. The conversation is
because there's a committee that will look at it into detail and recommend what should happen going forward. Oliver, the little time left, I think we can get your quick reaction on the claims that were made. I've heard Kwesi Pratt react on Metro, and we give you this small opportunity to try and say something as far as the comments concern you.
Thank you, Samson. I think for me, one of the things I sign up to in the public debate is that once you elect to speak publicly, that there's the risk of being properly understood or even misunderstood. And people are entitled to make any comments about you in terms of what their view and perception of you is. Then at the end of the day, that process of judging you is left to the commonplace of everybody in the market of ideas as to what my record is and what my role in Ghanaian society and how we improve it is. So I think he's entitled to those views. I take nothing personal from it. I take solace in the fact that I've always consistently held the view that whether one is supportive of a government, of politics, of ideology, you cannot walk away from the responsibility of holding those we elect accountable. And if he believes that during Nkrumah's time I will do the same, and I think it's a credit to me, and it is something that is the same view I hold of myself. So that's, I think, my only comments on that.
Yeah, but you were livid about the comments about Nkrumah, and you spent time responding to them on social media.
Yes, I mean, particularly in terms of,
one party state, CPP flag, and so on.
Yeah, so first of all, I mean, we, Democracy Hub and others, have brought a suit on this Nkrumah matter before the Supreme Court, where what we sought to show the court, that based on the court's own jurisprudence in 31st December, that if the Fourth Republic's commitment is that state financing would not be used to support individuals who overthrow a constitution, then we have to then review the General Kotoka decree to see whether or not it is doing the same thing. And we put it fairly in what we do a lot of historical work to describe the circumstances of the 60 Constitution, 64 Amendment, and Kotoka's eventual overthrow. But this is what I would say generally, because it's an issue that requires longer conversation.
Right.
Nkrumah is accused of three main things. One, that the removal of judges. Two, the one-party state, or the disbanding of political parties.
Right.
And three, the PDA. All of this have become so decontextualized that there's not enough sufficient discussion that is nuanced. And my hope is that these conversations allow us to be able to review them more holistically. Because a lot of things that were said, for instance, and I talked about publicly about the idea that Nkrumah had made himself president for life is not supported by any of the historical records so far. But I agree, and I've never been supportive of the idea of the one-party state. But the one-party state came upon from these ideas that were rife in those early independent years across Africa of trying to mimic what was happening in China. China continues to have that model and has seen economic miracle from that. We have made a deliberate choice otherwise. If we had succeeded, perhaps we've been comparing ourselves to what Lee Kuan Yew and others did. We didn't succeed. And those who overthrew that project have the right to be able to gloat over its failure. And that's fair. But it is important that when we are talking about what is true, that we distinguish fact from fiction. My position has been, one, it never happened that in 1964 an amendment was made that made Nkrumah president for life. It wasn't true. Quite the contrary. When the 1960 Constitution was created, it gave the president the power to dissolve parliament in the nature of the Westminster model. But the comments at the time that were written in articles was that parliament did not have the power over the president to remove the president. So the 64 Amendment actually cures that by making parliament able to impeach the president.
We have understood, listening to lectures and so on and so forth, that Nkrumah became so powerful, he could do any and everything except change the sex of a person.
And that's in fact not true, in fact. One of the things that happened, in 1956 is when we had the parliamentary elections. And that parliament's term was supposed to last for 4 years. Then the 57 Independent Act came and became a new republic.
All right.
It then considered those who had been elected in parliament as persons who had been re-elected by the constitution and give them a 5-year term. By 1960, when we were coming there, it was decided by the members of parliament who constituted the Constituent Assembly that only Nkrumah, who was seeking to be president, would be voted upon by the people of Ghana. All of them gave themselves the assurance that they would not go for election.
All right.
So the consequential amendment was that they, the parliamentarians, were not re-elected, but Nkrumah had to face the election.
All right.
Now, again, it is not a wholesale saying that there's no questions to be, or Nkrumah's record should not be reviewed. But I think that the discussions around, particularly the PDA, and it is important because a lot of things are lost to our archives that we don't know. Nobody can say
I'm sorry, but this all time will allow us. When we have you in studio, maybe we can have a discussion around these subjects. My guests have been Inusa Hussaini here, who is former MP for Tamale Central and former Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. He was also for the Roads Ministry as well. Vera Abna-Addo is Programs Officer with CDD Ghana, Election Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption. Also here is Michael Kwesi Edu. He's MP of Orukrom and member Energy Committee and Deputy Ranking Member for the Youth and Sports Committees of Parliament as well. Oliver Barker-Vormawo is Constitutional Rights and Policy Strategy Advisor to the Democracy Hub. Join me tomorrow on my favorite show, The Law, and I'll be hosting Kweku Ansah-Sare, former Director of the Ghana School of Law. I also have Gertrude Amoko Ama, a lecturer at the UPS.